Hello, hello, hello. I don't know if you catch that at the beginning, but I'm using a container of dog food as a tripod today. But I think the more important thing we need to talk about is something called the experience machine. You might be familiar with the experience machine, but if you are not, the experience machine is, from what I understand, often used to object and argue against hedonism, right? The school of thought that I think effectively says what brings meaning to life is pleasure and the the acquirement of pleasure and so on. Which, I think we'll get there. We'll get there. The experience machine, what it is, I should tell you. I should tell you what the experience machine is. What it is, right, you pretty much plug yourself into a machine that gives you all the features of what it is that you would like to experience. Do you want to experience what it's like to be Drake, Tom Brady, or do you want to be like a Buddhist monk but you can't escape the confines of Western materialism, and so it's hard, and then you're dealing with worries about hypocrisy. Anyways, the experience machine makes you feel like you're experiencing whatever it is that you want. Really, there's no holes here, because I know some people will be like blah 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 blah. But no, every sensible quality, every mental quality you will feel within this experience machine. And so the question is this experience machine good enough to make us choose to download ourselves into the or plug ourselves into the experience machine instead of actually living these things out for ourselves? And I think, based on intuition, you would say that you'd rather live it out yourself. This is what's going to give these actual experiences more quality, first and foremost. Not to mention the stipulation that in the experience machine, outside of your perception, it's not really happening. Once you get to the nuance, it gets interesting. Like, okay, but even if we get over the intuition, does it really matter? Like, I'm still feeling all of these things. And that's where we get to, well, no, there's more to the meaning of life than just pleasure. But that's not the point of this video. But the point of this video is the transition here. The transition is the question of, what does this sound like? It sounds exactly like virtual reality. We've seen Apple Vision Pros kind of hit the market, hit the consumer, and become a bit more. I don't know what the word is. Popular isn't the right word, but they're out there now, I guess, out in the real world. And while this is not virtual reality, it's augmented reality. I just saw a clip of someone who goes to sit on the toilet and then they transport themselves to a mountain. And like, within this context, I think that's pretty cool. I do. But we have another video that I saw. I like to get inspired by social media, I guess. Maybe I'm too reactionary, I am not sure. But it's a clip from someone speaking at the World Economic Forum. Now, I know what you're thinking. This guy's just going to sound like a conspiracy theorist. But no, even within a non-conspiratorial way, I have a tough time processing this clip. And it's just a clip of this guy making the distinction of what travel will look like in the future. He said rich people will travel, poor people will use VR. And really, this is the downside of having things taken out of context on social media in short form content, right? Like, maybe he's just describing the bleak reality of what the future will look like. I don't know if this is a prescriptive statement, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, his tone seems to kind of be affirming this notion. Um, Affirming in a way that he seems to be proud of it, like this is some sort of human progress. And I could understand where he's coming from, right? Like, because now he's going to say, well, you don't even have to be rich to get the experience of traveling to places, right? Like, he's almost sort of supporting the experience machine um, in a hedonistic way. But I just don't know why we would be proud of such a thing. It's like, I disagree with the experience machine. I think that it's a good objection to hedonism. I would want to see the world get into a place where we can have more people afford to go travel. That's my ideal world, and so it kind of just serves as another example that the bourgeoisie does not care about the proletariat. They'll be like, oh, you can have this, but we can have the real thing, sort of thing, all the time. It's like when it doesn't matter. I didn't necessarily want this to be an anti-capitalist video, but there's definitely some themes there. And then when you have the merging of VR/AR with AI, things are starting to get pretty scary. We've just seen OpenAI, I guess, like very soft release, to use the tech bro language, very soft release their new speech/text to video technology called Sora, I'm pretty sure, where you can speak or type or write something out and the AI will make a video for you. This clip that was going over a few was there was an animated hedgehog, I think, who was wakeboarding or surfing. Boom, animation studios, high alert. Then there's another one of this girl riding a train in Tokyo, and it's just ultra realistic. Like, the question for me, and this is where I'd like your input, because I'm not really super involved with computers, computer science, computer programming, all of this. But just from my viewpoints, my worldview, I'm just scared in terms of finding out what is truth. I mean, we already have such a difficult time of it now. And maybe we don't need to be worried about finding truth, but I do think that's how we find commonality sometimes. And that's why it's worrisome to me. And so the experience machine just brings out all of these 2024 worries. You know what I mean? When it comes to VR, AR, AI. And like, I've used VAR, geez, this is not soccer. I've used VR and AR before in my life, and they're awesome. Like, I like these things. They're fun to use for video games, that is. Like, I don't know, could obviously go into more depth talking about like how humans are going to start having way less face-to-face interaction and these sorts of things. But I don't want to be fully anti-futurism type of thing. I think some good things can come out of it, and I think that these things can be used in a really, really helpful way. But I just don't see why OpenAI, Sam Altman is supposed to be this like altruist, I guess. I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily what he wants, but he seems to be like basing what he's doing on the betterment of humanity. And I just don't know how you could genuinely think that unless you're far removed from humanity in the first place, which I think he is. And that's not a discredit to Sam. It's just what happens when you get into these sorts of positions, and it's hard to retain your humanity. I'm trying to be charitable towards him, because what he says, it makes it seem like his mind is in the right spot. But maybe this is just for the shareholders at the same time. I just don't know how you can make something like this and not realize that the amount of jobs that might be lost, the amount of chaos that could ensue. making deep fakes more and more of a possibility and all these sorts of things. I don't know. This could be extremely reactionary, so that's why I'm trying to be a little cautious with how I'm framing all of this, but I really wanted to talk about that because, like, last night and this morning, I've just seen quite a bit about all this stuff on the internet. It snowed overnight last night. I know that that's real, for now at least. Or is it real? Can I really know that? Anyways, don't need to get too philosophical. It snowed last night, and that's pretty cool. Now I've got to go to work. The roads shouldn't be too bad. It didn't snow bad at all. And then after that, this is my last night house sitting here. Not a whole lot going on. I got rejected from an internship I was really wanting to get. So the bad luck continues. You know, if you've been watching from the very beginning of these journals, you'll know that it's something that, you know, kind of drags me down. But not going to let that happen. And yeah, it's Saturday. I hope you enjoy your Saturday. Peace and love.